Welcome to Bold Voices, a production of the Community Foundation of Broward, where we explore Broward's biggest issues, get to know some of the people and organizations creating a bold impact in our community, and take a deeper dive into the world of local philanthropy with the experts at the Community Foundation of Broward. And now it's time to be bold.
Welcome again to the Bold Voices podcast, a production of the Community Foundation of Broward. I'm your host, Ellen Jaffe. Our guest today is well known throughout all of South Florida for her work in multiple roles at FPL, always leading the way in philanthropy and community outreach. And that's a small sample of what she's done in our community on boards of numerous nonprofit organizations. At the end of 2024, she closes out her 2-year tenure as the board chair for the Community Foundation of Broward. And in that time, she has overseen initiatives that will continue to make an enormous impact for our nonprofits and our residents for years to come. Before I tell you everything that she has to talk about, it is my honor to introduce Juliet Roulhac. Hi there.
Hi, Ellen. You are far too generous, and it's always such a joy to be with you.
Likewise. And of course, that is typical of you to be humble when people compliment you. And you do have so much history over the years in South Florida. So let's maybe go through a little bit of history and get an overview of your community service before you came to the Community Foundation. And then we'll talk about your progression to board chair here.
Well, thank you for that opportunity. In my current role, I am the External Affairs Director for Broward and Southwest Florida. And I also manage the NextEra Energy Foundation, NextEra Energy being the parent company of FPL. So it's a national foundation.
I've loved how your roles have changed, but it's always forward-thinking and always with community in mind.
Yes, because that's my passion. I've been really blessed to have matched my passion with my work, right? They say if you are passionate about the work you do, you don't work a day in your life. And that's very much how I feel. So because of that, I have been very, very involved in a lot of community efforts, both civic organizations like chambers of commerce, economic development agencies, and nonprofits. And those that I most recently was fortunate to lead as a chair include the Greater Fort Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, which is an economic development agency. And one I'm also very proud of is the Broward Workshop, which is an organization of the thought leaders and business leaders across Broward County who are predominantly the CEOs or the chief decision makers, if you will, for the companies in our county.
I would love to hear some of the quotes that come out of those meetings when you've got thought leaders and people who are obviously successful at making things happen. And I believe there's a mindset that goes with that. And obviously you have that. Can you talk about, I know we talked about this once in regards to the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida and your time as a Girl Scout. That was influential, but how did you develop this mindset of, yes, we can do?
Well, I believe that if you want to do something, you can do something. And you shouldn't limit yourself, nor should you allow others to limit you. And many times it's merely just getting your foot in the door, getting on these boards. And then, by showing the work that you do and working hard and giving it your all, there is a natural inclination for you to be appointed to key committees and so on, and ultimately an opportunity to lead. And that's the approach I've taken. For boards that I'm interested in, organizations I'm interested in being involved with, just asking to volunteer and be involved and give it my all. And Broward is just one of the most gracious and warm places to live. And you're embraced, right? Yeah. You really have to falter and mess it up, but because you are really warmly received. And so if you work hard for everyone, everyone will embrace you and lift you up.
What I find fascinating about that is that's a mindset that people are often taught when they go into the workforce for the first time. Volunteer, do the little bit extra, be available, learn what you can, and people have moved up. But I don't know if people thought about that in participation with nonprofits. And that is an important point to let people know about, that they can become more involved, and you don't have to have a degree in nonprofit community leadership to learn and work your way up. So what led you to the Community Foundation of Broward?
I knew a little bit about the foundation before being recruited to join the board, but it was actually Jarrett Levan, a good friend, who thought that I might be interested in the board and called me and told me a lot about what the foundation did. He was on the board at that time, and I was intrigued. It was really in that recruitment effort that I learned more and then investigated on my own and realized what a hidden gem the foundation was. So after learning more, I said yes.
For the last 2 years that you have been leading, I mentioned a couple of the really big initiatives for Community Foundation of Broward, starting with being part of the strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan. And that led to the Be Bold campaign with the goal of raising $500 million that would go right back into the community. Talk about that, please.
I would love to talk about that, Ellen. About 3 years ago, when I was the chair-elect, I managed, along with, of course, Jennifer Flannery Anderson, the current president CEO, an effort with a consultant to do a very broad-reaching strategic plan for the foundation. It was one where we engaged the staff of the foundation, the entire board of the foundation, and held listening sessions. We interviewed community leaders, nonprofit leaders, to hear what they felt was important, also to determine what we felt would work well with the foundation, and developed what I refer to as a very appropriate strategic plan. And by that, I mean it was well thought out, smart goals. We knew we were going to be able to implement all that we hoped to accomplish, and it was something that was well thought out. The foundation completely embraced this idea and actually incorporated all the implementation plans, which was multi-year, into its day-to-day and annual goals. So they have, over time, I think you're right, about 3 years now, have implemented and successfully accomplished everything year to date that we plan to do.
One of the things that I feel so inspired about every time I host a podcast and am in the building with the Community Foundation of Broward, you said you included staff. Everyone there has such a passion for community work. And I think that's why it works so well. And you also mentioned the CEO, Jennifer Flannery Anderson, who obviously a female. All of the CEOs at the Community Foundation have been women. There have been 3. And you are the first Black female chair of the board. What is that experience like in working with other women who are like-minded?
So it was very welcoming. And I have to tell you, there was not a moment of pause. We have one of the most collaborative and really strong boards. And it is all about what is best for the foundation. And one of the things we really made a point of doing, Ellen, is we go through this extremely attenuated process on deciding who's going to be on the board. And we very much strive for diversity, and not only racial diversity, but we really look at geographic diversity, diversity of careers, jobs, industry, so that we can really fully appreciate and understand all the issues of Broward County. So it was fantastic and a particular pleasure, you're right, to have the executive committee during my tenure, as well as Jennifer, all being female. So that was very unique.
When you talk about the equity, the diversity, that's one of the things that also began under your leadership, the Black Philanthropy Initiative. And
Yes.
as you said, it's not just about race, but that was one segment where I think there might have been a sense that they weren't being included or represented. Tell us about that.
That's very, very true, Ellen. And being a Black woman and being part of the Black community in Broward, I am well aware that we are giving at great levels, but just differently. And so there was just a recognition that I wanted this foundation to be representative of the entire community, and for the entire community to understand that we're here for the entire community. And so this was just another way to embrace a new segment of the population that had not really been formally invited to sit at our table. And it has been a great success. Again, because of the diversity of our board, we have been able to really engage novel communities. For instance, we have our first Black church, our first church ever, but a Black church, New Mount Olive, of which I'm a member. We also have our first Black community builder, and that community builder is one who pledges to give $1 million or more to the foundation to do work, certainly for the foundation to use in its work. So that was also remarkable. And that all happened as a result of this very intentional initiative. So it proved exactly what I knew, and that was that we only need to be asked and included and jump right in. And it's just been fantastic.
And that's something that you can look at the website, cfbroward.org, and see your main areas of focus. They are all diverse, everything from the arts to LGBTQ rights, to education, to animal welfare, and on and on and on. There are the things that you expect, and then there are the things that you may not expect, but they're also such a big part of the community.
Absolutely. So Broward is the most diverse county in the state, and we recognize that. We also have very intentional outreach to the LGBTQ community as well, for seniors as well. It's really very broad-based for that reason.
Now, there's also outreach, and this is a little bit unusual. I think people don't expect it, to other nonprofits, to bring them in and teach them how to grow, how to do more with the Broward Center for Nonprofit Excellence, which started under your leadership. And I've spoken with Kathy Brown, who's the head of that. The work they're doing since it began is remarkable.
It's transformational. It really is. The Nonprofit Center was an idea that came out of our work with the strategic plan. There was a recognition that we want to support all forms of philanthropy and benevolence, and really wanted to be seen not as a competitor to nonprofits, but a supporter of them, a, co-worker, if you will. We're all working together to lift Broward up. And so this concept of the Nonprofit Center came to mind, and it really is providing a series of resources, classes in financial planning and organizational planning to allow these nonprofits to be the most successful they can possibly be. We talked to them about grant writing, really all the elements or items that would help them be successful and grow.
I visualize this as a giant tree of life, where at the top is the Community Foundation of Broward, and then there are all the other nonprofits that you're helping and supporting, and then there are all the people that they reach and impact daily, in addition to your funding nonprofits and impacting people directly.
That was a really lovely visual. I see the tree myself.
I just love that. So your 40th anniversary celebration.
Oh, my goodness. So special. There were a number of things that happened in this very special year, our 40th year. First, we reached the 400 million mark in our campaign. We reached 300 million in assets, another remarkable achievement. And we had a very special effort, which we actually called the 40-4-40 Spread the Love grants. And we awarded $400,000 to 40 organizations to do their work. So essentially, we helped 40 nonprofits make a bold impact and shape a brighter future for Broward.
What was that process like? How were you able to choose 40 of all of, there must be 1,000 in Broward County.
Yes. So, the fortunate thing is that we have a world-class community impact team that have to go through the arduous task of looking at all of these well-deserving nonprofit grant applications day in and day out. And they looked for several things, but a lot of it is really the uniqueness of the request. Are there any other nonprofits that are particularly serving that interest or in that way? So they look for uniqueness. They also look for impact. How much impact will this make if we fund it? And so it's all of those factors that weigh into this. But this particularly was just very rewarding for us because it was an addition to our actual normal annual giving. And it was a wonderful way to celebrate.
And one of the things that's even more special is that a lot of groups will celebrate a big anniversary like that by throwing a big party that costs a lot of money. And instead, you gave money
yes,
and didn't spend. And if you didn't take the time to pat yourself on the back, I can do it for you.
Yes.
I'm happy to.
I'm really glad you said that, Ellen, because I do think it speaks to exactly who we are as a Community Foundation of Broward. We understand our purpose. We are here in perpetuity because we have endowed funds and we are intentional about giving back to community. That's why we're here. And so it was our gift really to be able to gift and support even more this year.
Well, if I can speak on behalf of 40 nonprofits and all the people they served, thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
I have actually heard that people talk about the board of the Community Foundation of Broward. They say it's their favorite board they've ever been on. And you've been the chair for 2 years.
Yes.
What makes it so special?
No question, the people and the purpose for which we're there. We are, as I said, very intentional about how we recruit and we interview all our prospective board members. We really expect a lot from our board members, and so they are engaged. And when you have board members who are engaged and feel that they're really contributing to the overall mission of the organization, I think that's when the magic happens. And that's why I really believe that all of us feel so happy to be on this board. We all can speak to our contributions and point to how they made impact and a difference. And we're very collegial. This morning we had my last board meeting of the year, ironically. And again, just open discourse, very candid conversation, and all of it serves to do well for the foundation.
How has your time on this board, both as a board member and board chair, influenced your perspective on Broward County, on community giving, or what have you learned that's new that you didn't know before?
So I'll start by saying what I did not know. I did not know that there were so many people in our county who were so philanthropic and willing to give to others, some without any recognition, to really support community and are often very excited to do so, right? And the other thing I learned on the other end of that scale is that there's so many people who have capacity in this county that are just unaware of the opportunity, right? So that gives us a lot of hope and promise because there is so much work to do. Every meeting, when we are brought a schedule of items to approve on the docket for the grants, we are first told how many applications I saw and the total amount of funding needed. And then we come down to how many we could capably grant out. And it is always a much smaller number. So the need is there. And it's just, as I said, very hopeful that we will be able to, as you have said, shine a light on the Community Foundation so others will be motivated and incentivized to join our cause, really, and give so that others can receive and grow and flourish.
And if anyone listening feels compelled to join the cause, start by either going to the website, cfbroward.org, share the podcast, let everyone you know. It goes back to the old commercial. She told two people, and they told two people, and and next thing you know, the entire county knows what's going on and what the opportunities are to be involved and what the opportunities are to receive aid for work that you're doing through the Community Foundation of Broward.
Well, thank you, Ellen. And this interview, if even one person is moved to do that, I feel that we have done a lot today. We find, and often in the events that we hold, most of which are just informative about different aspects of things we fund, there is often someone who is moved to make an impact on their own. And again, it just is so compelling. And I say it's always an opportunity for help.
What is the internal feeling you get when you look back at your 2 years and the work that you've done? What are you most proud of?
I would have to say the feeling I get is complete joy and peace. There is a peace in knowing that the foundation will always, always be here for Broward. And the thing I'm probably most proud of is really having been on the search committee for Jennifer, who has brought a lot of new energy to the board, to the organization, and being a part of the governance team to bring in the new members who are just remarkable. And so it's that whole idea of being part of building a core of amazing people who are going to carry the work forward.
And we know there are more of them out there. So again, if you want to be part of this joy and feel the peace, sleep well at night, knowing that you're doing something that helps people and that makes you feel good, cfbroward.org. It's the Community Foundation of Broward. And we hope that you will be involved and follow the lead of this remarkable leader, Juliet Roulhac. I know that your email is going to be filled with invitations to join more boards now when word gets out. Do you have any plans for your post-leadership at the Community Foundation?
So, of course, I have been pulled back in, but we are working on a few new and unique items. So one of the things we're trying to think about how to get more youth involved, because we often see many of our donors and funders talk about their family, their children or grandchildren who are expressing an interest. And we've just read and researched that that is something that's growing. Our young folk are interested in making impact. And so we are looking to see how we can engage more youth. That is just one of the examples of things that are going forward that I hope to be able to support.
I love it. Everything you've done, you've just made such an impact. And I'm repeating myself, but, the people who have benefited from your work, including the staff and other board members and nonprofits who've been in your circle, I know that they will miss you. But I also understand that the Community Foundation has term limits,
yes,
and that gives them the opportunity to always be bringing in new ideas, new blood, and new inspiration for everyone who's involved.
Very much so. And I have to tell you, part of my piece is also knowing that Mona Pittenger, who is a chair-elect, is coming in to lead because she is more than ready. And I am so excited to see what her tenure holds.
Are there any final thoughts you would like to share with the listeners today?
Giving back to community, I think, is just core to your well-being. I really do. I think it makes you a whole person, and it does not have to be purely financial. If it's volunteering, if it's at your church, your child's school, there's so many ways to give back. And I just invite everyone to think about how they can do something for someone in some way and do it.
Okay. Thank you for everything you've done for so many, in so many ways. Juliet Roulhac, the outgoing chairperson of the board at the Community Foundation of Broward. This has been an absolute delight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
Well, if you are not inspired enough about the state of giving in Broward County after hearing from Juliet, outgoing board chair for the Community Foundation of Broward, Kirk Engelhardt, vice president of marketing for the Community Foundation, will get you even more inspired. Kirk, you're so passionate. Let's have Kirk's Corner and talk about what's coming up for the Community Foundation.
Ellen, it's so great to be here. And of course, it's bittersweet to hear the interview with Juliet because she has been an incredible partner and board chair here at the Community Foundation of Broward. She has carried herself and jumped into the role with poise and class. She brings big brain power to everything she does and talent and respect. And people who know her know this already. She's the real deal. And we're just very fortunate to have had her as our board chair for 2 years and to have had her on the board as a board member for 4 years before that. And we just celebrated our 40th anniversary. And one of the things that we are doing and have done this year is wind down the Be Bold leadership campaign. Be Bold has been our mantra. Moving forward, our new mantra, we're going to be leading with love. And really, it came about because we want people to think about giving where they live. We have a lot of people in Broward County who have roots elsewhere, but they're living here most of the year. So giving where you live, the place that you love to live, that you love to be, that's really important. And it is probably the greatest impact that you could have on your own community. So leading with love through your philanthropy, through your actions, where you volunteer, how you interact with others, how you uplift people, how you lead by example. That's what this is all about. And, we embody that here at the Community Foundation. We want to make sure that that message gets out to the entire community because it's the way we operate. And we want to help everybody else who wants to be philanthropic to do the same.
It is a remarkably simple but clear message. When you use the word love in regard to giving, everybody knows what that means. When you ask people, what do you want to support? It starts with what they love. And that's where the passion comes from. And I think that's a beautiful way to head into 2025.
Yeah, I think you could ask just about anybody what we need more of in this world, and they would say love.
Oh, 100%.
I don't think you ever have enough of it, but I think at this point in our history, we need love coming from all corners. We've talked about unifying the community for years here at the Community Foundation, and we really put a lot of effort into that with our grant making and the partnerships that we have, and how do we bring people together? And really what it does come down to is love, loving your community, loving your neighbor, loving the place that you live, and wanting to make it the best it can be. We're going to be leading with love, and we want anybody who feels the same way to be a part of that with us.
We're going to reveal a very special project surrounding leading with love. And for anyone who feels that passion for where you live and you want to give where you live, cfbroward.org is the place to go. See what the Community Foundation is all about and join us on this mission to bring Broward together, keep Broward together, and make it a place that everybody loves.
Thank you for listening to Bold Voices. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and hope you'll be inspired to join us in creating a better Broward for all. If you'd like more information, visit us online at cfbroward.org and remember to always be bold.